Black privilege is getting worse by the year. And by worse, I mean they're getting more bold with their schemes and their actions. I do find it pretty funny, though, when you have those interviewers on the street. They go up to a bunch of black people. They're like, you got 100 fish, and 13 of the fish cause half of the problems. What do you do with those 13 fish? Almost every time the black people say get rid of the fish. Black people, you're lucky we don't have the same mentality of you. Otherwise, y'all'd be gone.
In a now deleted video, that is a white man letting the world know that he is tired of black privilege. What is black privilege? Like, what exactly is he referring to as black privilege? And he didn't just stop at that. He went on to say if he and his people have the same mentality as black people will all be gone. I'm trying to understand fully what that last statement means, but to a certain extent, I feel like I get it. And I want to hear what you guys think about that statement as well in the comment section, because coming online to say, oh, privilege is getting out of hand, and that if they have the same mentality, that so many black people will be gone or black people will be gone, it's just very disgusting. Which privilege exactly? Is it the privilege of getting followed? Is it the privilege of getting arrested at any slight mistake because of your skin color? Is it the privilege of being followed on the supermarket because they just see you as somebody who is going to shoplift or take something? Like, which privilege exactly is this man talking about? People are stitching to his video, so without wasting much time, let's just get straight into it.
Black people, you're lucky we don't have the same mentality of you.
Okay, couple questions. First and foremost, who is we? Because I looked at your page and you're white passing. Putting down other people who aren't white aren't going to make the white people that you want to support you support you.
You're lucky we don't have the same mentality of you. Otherwise, y'all'd be gone.
What do you mean gone? And what is the mentality? Who did black people disappear that you're equating this to?
Black privilege is getting worse by the year. And by worse, I mean they're getting more bold with their schemes and their actions.
One specific thing that people who make videos like this do is they make something so vague that you can't put a descriptor on it. Black people are scheming and they're getting bold. What does that mean? And since this guy's a white savior for some reason, do we not know about all the white schemes and the white boldness? The head white right now is not listening to the checks and balances system that was put in place, but I don't hear you about that boldness or scheme. I can tell by your face that you're paid to work with your hands instead of your brain. Does that make sense to you?
Black people, you're lucky we don't have the same mentality of you.
I think the world outside of the white supremacist mindset would disagree with you. I think we would all do better to not have the mentality of violently colonizing, raping, and murdering the indigenous people and almost annihilating the indigenous people from their lands is a mentality that we don't want. I think that enslaving an entire group, international business, is a mentality that most people won't want. I think that also raping and murdering those slaves is a mentality that most people don't want. I think that when you realize you can't do that anymore, so you make laws to put those people at a disadvantage, is a mentality that most people don't want. I think taking away all the opportunities and chances to use resources to advance in life for those people and then say that those people are lazy and are not smart enough to do the jobs is a mentality that most people don't want. I think that shooting up schools and blowing up churches and crossing state lines in order to perform mass shootings is a mentality that most people don't want. But most of all, I think that being the most violent people in history while blaming everyone else that you were violent to for that violence is a mentality that most people don't want. But you have a good day.
Black people, you're lucky we don't have the same mentality of you.
First of all, chew your food next time so we're not getting the residue of all the dick you just got done eating. Second, white people have literally stole everything for the past thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Slavery has only been over for 150 years, not 400 like you were taught. No, your ancestors just want so desperately to separate themselves from the evil that all of you are. And another fucking thing. I don't understand how somebody who has been the monster forever in everybody's stories, women, children, especially your guys' women and children, you beat the shit out of them on a daily basis. People committing all the crimes in America are just white people. Look up crime rates right now. White people are at the top of damn near every single one of the bitches, especially rape and abuse and domestic violence.
Black privilege is getting worse by the year.
Hold on. Black privilege? Which black privilege you talking about? You talking about the privilege to, come from underfunded educational systems, the privilege of being over-policed, the privilege of redlining, the privilege of hundreds of years of systemic racism. You're talking about how all of our organizations that were designed for liberation were infiltrated and our leaders were killed. Which black privilege are we talking about? Oh, you mean that privilege where we have the right to the constitutional rights that were given to you and your forefathers, let's say 189 years before my ancestors got access to it. We didn't really get full citizenship in this country until like 1965. Are you talking about the privilege of having black boomtowns burned down by jealous rednecks who had an angst against black excellence? Are you talking about segregated schools that were where the children were required to read Little Black Sambo, and when the Ku Klux Klan and the police department were one and the same? Are you talking about people who built up, who called in the National Guard to keep a little girl from going to school? What privilege are you referring to, sir? Are you talking about, the physical endowments that nature has blessed the black man, the African, with? Then there's nothing we can do about that. There's nothing we can do about that at all. Now, here's what I want you to think about. Don't ever seek to mention to another black person about black privilege until you know what it's like to be the most educated person in the office but be the lowest paid person in the office. Don't ever talk about black privilege until you know what it's like to have a wallet full of credit cards and a pocket full of money at a high-end store and be followed around as if you're going to steal something. But yet and still you have $1,000 shoes on, a $2,000 suit on, some $3,000 glasses. Don't ever think to talk about black privilege until you know what it's like to be pulled over for no reason, weapons drawn for no reason. Don't ever fix your mouth to talk about black privilege until you see women who are absolutely undesirable to you grab their purse and cross the street as if you're going to do something to them, as if you want them because of how they've been socialized and programmed to view you because of the color of your skin and the genitalia between your legs. Don't ever talk about black.
Black privilege is getting worse by the year.
I'm under the impression that a lot of you Caucasians don't read on history, specifically when it pertains to your history. It's called The Color of Wealth. It's the story behind the U.S. racial wealth divide and gap. Under the table of contents, it basically has, just for you, the roots of the racial divide, land rich, dirt poor, challenges to assess building in Native America, black wealth, injustice in the United States, Latinos in the United States, neighbors and fences, the perils of being yellow, Asian Americans, climbing up the escalator, white advantages in wealth accumulation, rainbow economics, closing the racial wealth divide, and suggestions for the future. Let's look up chapter 6, page 225. Median net worth. This is in 2001. It has pictures so you understand better. It has also white mean and family assets. Also has a graph. Home ownership. 2003, 2001 to 2003. This is white, by the way. White. Everybody else is a person of color. White, person of color. So I do want to point out that there are books on this. You can read them. And it basically shows you exactly what white privilege is, and it goes over the encounters of what white privilege is economically. That's just economically, not socially, because socially is a whole nother ballgame. Economic and social are two different. And sorry, my battery's dying, but I do think that you should read this, and I also do think that, and there's also audiobooks for people who don't like to read. That in itself is white privilege. Having the privilege of not knowing and being ignorant towards your history and thinking that people of color have some sort of privilege over white people, when that's not true. Now, do other marginalized groups have some kind of privilege over other marginalized groups? Absolutely. But never in the history of the Americas, Canada, United States, South America, or the Antilles have people of color have had any kind of privilege or racial, systematic, or social power over Caucasians at any point in time. And if they do, please let me know. But I want you to think of that. Marginalized people have power over marginalized people, that is true, but over Caucasians, no. That's another thing about white privilege. You don't have to read about your history.
It makes sense now why his video has been deleted, because I feel like there were so many people asking him to help us understand what privilege means to him, because it's almost as if the understanding of what privilege means that a lot of us know is not right. Is it the privilege of randomly being selected by TSA every time you want to catch a flight? Or maybe the elite black privilege of getting, unalive, still needing to prove that you're not worthy of being unalive? Maybe that is the privilege that this man is talking about, because if privilege looks like being underpaid, being over-policed, racially profiled every single time, then the bar is really low. And the fact that he said that if they have the mentality like black people, then black people will be God, is basically, to my understanding, insinuating that black people are very destructive, that if white people adopt it, that black folks will disappear. Like, sir, you mean the mentality of survival, the mentality of waking up in a country that was built to erase you and still thriving? Is that the mentality that he is talking about? Because if white folks have the mentality of black people, maybe they will develop a little emotional resilience. Maybe they will stop crying when a DEI seminar interrupts their lunch break. Maybe they will understand what it's like to build a culture, heart, style, like literally name it, and still be told that you are less than. Let's flip the script a little bit. Because if black folks have the same mentality that some of those white folks have, that entitlement, that fragility, and needs to always play the victim while holding the cards, I really believe black folks will have tapped out a little while ago. But instead, black people built joy. They built a movement. They built fashion. They built speech. They built music. They developed something. They did something. And as well, a culture that so many people copy today, because that is the only reason while Kendall Jenner can put on a singlet, a wife beater, and every single one of them are now calling it, the Kendall Jenner tank top. Black people built all of that while they sit down there and ask why there is no White History Month. The idea that Black people are too privileged is actually laughable. It's very, very funny. And it is exactly the kind of things that people say when they see Black folks, marginalized people, getting an inch of visibility. Because the moment Black folks are not struggling publicly, someone is going to yell, just like this man is screaming. Like reparations have gone too far. And here we have Black people just trying to live their life without being an hashtag. This man is literally out there calling them, privilege. And I think what this really comes down to is projection. These people are so used to being centered that, equality feels like oppression to them. Like basically is an oppression to them at this point, because we've seen so many of them prove this point over and over again. We'll say anything, no matter how absurd it sounds, avoid unpacking their own mediocrity in a world that always gives them a head start. So yes, congrats to this man for confusing progress to persecution, survival with supremacy. Because if that is what Black privilege looks like in his eyes, then what he's actually scared of, in my opinion, is Black excellence. Let me hear what you guys think about this man's video, because they will literally just open their mouth and say the most absurd thing ever. Like they will just say just because they see a Black person not publicly struggling. Let me hear what you think in the comment section. I am going to join you guys in the next episode.